Hi, my name's Mike Folland. I'm the interim CEO for churches across here in Queensland. So Youth Connect is a program that churches across in Queensland runs for young people who have been in statutory care and have left that care, and their trajectory in life up until that point would have been quite challenging. So we've taken 300 young people into the Youth Connect program to help them build up resiliency skills to set them up for success into the future. That was specifically designed to help young people in that transition from age 18 or sometimes a little bit earlier to build up the life skills needed to actually get on and be independent and as comfortable and safe as they possibly can. The state government actually discovered that more than 50% of young people who leave statutory care at age 18 end up homeless within the first 3 years, and almost 30% in the first year. But up until very recently, once those young people turn 18, they then leave the system and are left pretty much to their own devices. For many of these young people who have grown up in the statutory care system, if they're experimenting with living by themselves independently, but it doesn't work out, there's nowhere to go back. And so that's unfortunately why many end up homeless. And if they have mental health challenges, those challenges are sort of increased because of the extra stresses in their lives without that support network. The Youth Connect program is unique in that it's part of a social benefit bond. And this is quite a novel way of funding a service like this. The social benefit bond is different, however. It actually involves three parties. The first one is the service provider that delivers the service. The second party to it are corporate investors who have put their money into a bond, and that bond is used to draw down money every quarter to deliver the service. So at this stage, the state government technically has not put any money in. If the service provider then achieves identified outcomes which are measured and have a value against those measurements, the government then pays the service provider a dividend, or money that recognises the outcomes that have been delivered. The service provider then returns those dividends back to the investor who have earned an interest on that investment. The bonus of it, particularly for the government, is that technically they don't put any money in unless the success outcomes have been achieved. So in other words, if you don't do a good job, the government doesn't pay you any money. And by doing a good job, you're actually doing the best for the young person that you're caring for, and that's what's good about it. So in order for the program to be funded, the government and us needed to work out and agree on what are the success outcomes, how do we measure them, what value are you prepared to pay for them. So the outcomes, to summarise them, the first one is safe and stable accommodation. And for a young person to be successful in the program for the outcomes payment, they have to demonstrate 6 months of safe and stable accommodation. If they achieve that 6 months, they then need to demonstrate 12 months of engagement in either employment, education, or those personal development skills, as I mentioned, like parenting programs. Or for those young people on a NDIS plan, their engagement in their plan. That's what we measure. There needs to be evidence that engaged in school, and it's not just turning up, you actually have to be engaged and achieving results. But all that comes together to show that yes, these are the signs and indicators of a healthy outcome. Now the reporting is really important. Very clearly written into the contract were the eligibility criteria, and we specifically targeted and received into the program those who were most at risk of homelessness. We then had to demonstrate, well, how are we achieving this outcome? What evidence is there? And it wasn't just our hearsay or our records. It was an independent auditor that was appointed. So if we can provide an intervention or a support service, care service to a young person to change that trajectory from that way to home fullness, we're actually saving the state government X amount of dollars, which we're able to demonstrate. Now, there's also the positive benefit of a young person being fit and healthy and engaging in their community the best they can. They're contributing to the economy, they're providing a sense of family and network to those around them. So the positives are far more than just economic, let me hasten to add. But in terms of the financial instrument of the bond, it was very clear. Outcome, measure it this way, value to the government is what then built up the dividend that the government paid to us when we achieved the success outcome. As a model of care in this transition period, in a voluntary nature, in the midst of all the challenges, the Youth Connect program as a service delivery model has been fantastic. So Youth Connect, in its current form as a social benefit bond, will come to the end, but what we've learned from it will continue well beyond. And one of the reasons for that is that from before the program even began, we formed a partnership with the University of the Sunshine Coast. And so every year along the program, we've had key personnel from the university working with us to do participatory action research. So actually asking the questions, undertaking research, publishing research results of what's working, what needs to change, what is the voice of the young person, how do we listen to them, what are the cultural understandings, what do we learn from our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander young people and staff about the best way to live a culturally safe care. All of that research we've been undertaking in parallel to the whole program. So as we move forward with the extension of care to age 21, we've been feeding back to the government and to the Department of Child Safety, look, we want to continue sharing all we've learned from Youth Connect into the future because we absolutely can demonstrate by research that it works.